Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Nicole. For those of you that are new here, I'm a wedding photographer based in Toronto, Ontario, and I've been shooting weddings for the past 11 years. A few weeks ago, I did a video that has been quite popular. It was titled something like using your flash on camera during a wedding day. I personally find that wedding days move so quickly that it's really handy to be able to use your flash on your camera because it really requires minimal setup, and you can change the lighting in a room or a situation quickly by bouncing your flash off a light neutral colored wall or ceiling. In that video though, I kind of skimmed over an important point that I want to elaborate on today. So what I'm going to be talking about is how to use available light in a room and also add in flash to illuminate a scene to get it looking the way you want it to. Often I find on a wedding day, I will do this. I will combine the ambient light, so the existing light in a room, with light from my flash. So it's an important skill to be able to have. So I'm going to walk you through a situation on a recent wedding where I did exactly this. I used available light from 3 windows in a room, and I also bounced my flash to fill in some shadows. So whenever I walk into a room, my first instinct is to look for the best available light. In the case of this getting ready room, there was a bit of a challenge. The room had 3 really nice windows on one side of the room with soft indirect light coming through them, which is great for portraits. But this lighting setup, the available light that was in this room, only worked for certain poses. I found when I was taking photos of the bride as she was getting ready, it worked well if I had her angled towards the light so that her face was illuminated by the window light. But if I had her turn away from the light, her face would have been in a shadow. So for most of the getting ready shots, I did exactly what I was talking about. I had the bride face the window light so that it was kind of coming in at an angle to her, and it was softly illuminating her, and her face was properly exposed. I thought it would be cool if I could capture a seated shot just to give a little variety to her gallery, where I would ask her to sit on one of these window ledges and have the window as the backdrop. I thought this would add some variety to the gallery as well. It would allow the photos to have like a bright and airy look because I could expose for the window to be relatively bright. So when I first asked the bride to take a seat in that window, I think it's going to be an issue with the light on her face. And as you can see in my initial thoughts, my assumption was right. The bride's face was underexposed due to the lack of light hitting her face. I could have asked the bride to look out the window, but from my position, the angle that I wanted to shoot at, I wouldn't be able to see her face at all in that image. So I decided to use my on-camera flash to add some light to increase the exposure on her face while maintaining the existing exposure for the background. So before adding in my flash, the first step that I needed to think about was exposing for the ambient light or the existing light that's already in the room. So step 1 is getting the base exposure for the existing ambient light that's already there. So for this, there's a lot of like creative latitude here that you can take depending on the type of photo or the look that you're aiming for. So for me, I love the look of a wider aperture and shallow depth of field in portraits. So I chose an f-stop of f2.8. That was my starting point. The next step was to select a shutter speed, and I chose 1/160th of a second. That was high enough for me to freeze the motion and avoid camera shake. The next step is to select an ISO that will help me achieve the right exposure that I would like for the backdrop. It's crucial to get this step right in your camera to avoid extensive editing later on. But after exposing for the ambient light, it gave a nice background glow to the bride, but it didn't allow for us to see her face. Her face was really underexposed. Just leaving it like this would have been an editing nightmare. So that's where my on-camera flash comes into play. Right behind me, where I was standing when I was shooting, there was a neutral wall behind me. So after I adjusted all my settings for the ambient light, I simply took my flash that was on top of my camera, turned it to the right, so slightly behind and beside me, and I had the flash on TTL mode, which makes it kind of easy and quick to do this. And then I bounced the flash and it bounced off the wall and bounced right back onto the bride and lit up her face. Bouncing it off a neutral colored wall like this allows for like soft, diffuse light that looks flattering on people. I was really happy with how this photo turned out. It was quick to do this. I didn't have to set up any light stands or anything like that. And it added some variety to the backdrops in the final gallery. So it was kind of a nice little addition to add in there. Also, the raw file of this looked really great and hardly needed any post-processing. I just needed to crop it, adjust the exposure just a little bit, and I added my preset onto it. So the next time you're in a challenging lighting situation, don't be afraid to reach for your flash. It might just be the key to getting the shot that you want. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.